Welcome back to Diary of a Speed Reader. Today's book is The China Study by Thomas Campbell, and I'm giving it 4 stars. All week long we've been talking about health and wellness, and we've previewed the idea that the food that we eat is more than just something that we do because we're hungry, but that there's a lot of things within the food that can help us boost immunity and stay strong and healthy. The China study first was published in 2001, and the edition I have has updates for 2016. It is one of the largest, most comprehensive studies. Basically, Zhou Enlai, during the 1970s, commissioned this study before he then later became the premier of China. It is one of the largest geographic cross-sectional studies to date on nutrition, and there's so many takeaways from this book. I'm going to give you 3 of mine. I would be so grateful if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel as we get closer and closer to the end of the 100 Days Challenge. That's where I'll be posting in the future. I will put details in my comments if you are watching on Instagram or on Facebook. And now let's get into this amazing book. Now, the first really is loud and clear, the power of big data in healthcare. You know, this study is done in the 1970s before all of what we've got in technology now. That said, there's so much data that's being collected voluntarily and potentially with really, really good outcomes. We're always talking about the negative, but you know, folks that are logging in MyFitnessPal, folks that are using Fitbit, and all of the different ways that people are cataloging what it is they actually eat. There is so much that we can learn about healthfulness and what we're seeing in the way of diseases that are really, really first world problems: cancer, diabetes, heart failure. I'm really excited for what's possible in the field of medical science going forward. The second really has to do with what he has to say about meat and animal products. Now, I definitely eat meat, but I have always throughout my entire life eaten a fraction of what other people are able to eat in the way of meat. I think ultimately you have to do what your body tells you you need to do, and that really is about developing that kind of internal feel. That said, if you have a very, very high meat intake and animal product intake, I think it's worthwhile listening to what he has to say. In particular, his concerns at the time that he's writing and even throughout have been the fad diets, paleo diets, non-carb diets, and their implications on carcinogenic things within the body. The relationship between meat and heart failure and meat and cancer. Everything's got to be in moderation, but he tells it so well, and it's important to understand this if you're going to make those type of dietary changes. Now, the third thing really has to do with the way that he describes alkaline in the body. Now, this is the idea that the body might run a little acidic. What's fascinating is that calcium, which is often told to a lot of women, you've got to drink a lot of milk to keep that calcium up. He's arguing that maybe there's more to it than that, in the sense that what they found is a lot of countries that are very big into milk but also have hugely protein diets, those body types tend to run very alkaline in a way that and in order for the body to kind of neutralize that acidity, it's going to pull calcium from the bones, and so they see higher incidence of osteoporosis and hip fractures associated therein. Now, I think overall there's still a lot of work to be done. I'm intrigued, I'm listening, and I want to learn more. Now, I love what Dr. Campbell is doing in this book. I took off a star because I do think he's making a very general comment on nutrition, which is needed and important as a dialogue. I think ultimately each individual needs to do what's right for them. You know, in other books previously, we've talked about the idea that the body does have the ability to feel itself internally, developing that acumen as well as working with doctor and really observing how food changes the way you feel. I think that's really key. Speed reading stats, this book is 461 pages. It took me 88 minutes to read. If you'd like to learn more about speed reading, please feel free to comment below. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining my YouTube channel, liking, sharing, commenting, or otherwise supporting my efforts. And I will see you tomorrow. Stay healthy.